Welcome, guys. Welcome. Um, so looks like we have nobody in here, and that's fine. I think I'll just deliver my message and talk to you all well, how a few buddies would talk to each other. I have a very large YouTube channel, and there's a lot of stuff going on in our country with the Charlie Kirk assassination. And I have had a few questions on what do you think about it? Uh, everything from do you think Israel's behind it? Do you think it's a government uh, attack or whatnot? And that's not me. I'm not, this is not a political channel, but I am very interested in politics. Most of the videos that I typically watch are on politics, financing, and UFOs. That's the kind of stuff I enjoy. So if I could have a dream, I would have a finance channel and I'd teach you guys how to manage what little money we have. I'm very good at that. I don't make very much money and I manage it extremely well. And if you guys are interested in that, my number one pointer on finances is do your own taxes. So if you don't own a very large business or have a partnership, I recommend TaxSlayer. And that would give you the ability to understand the tax code because the government takes typically about 20% of your money. And not only that, is if you can get your tax burden lower, um, you can actually get money from the government for child tax credits, for anything from a car lease or whatever. For instance, the brand new car that I'm driving, the Toyota Tacoma, is costing me nothing and actually makes me money. So, so if I had a dream, I'd probably have a finance channel. Okay. I'm interested in UFOs, but I'm not a pilot. I did do 20 years in the military. I have seen things that were confusing to me that didn't quite make sense. I was an inspector of aircraft. That's something else that I find interesting, but there's people more qualified to talk about that. Okay. And then when it comes to politics, I don't really like talking about politics very much because talking about it and the comments that one receives from people that are either, I don't know, they don't have the same perspective as I do. We're all different. When I didn't have a child, I thought things that I don't think now. I've had a child now. She is 16 years old. And we went through the whole thing, my wife being pregnant, from everything from me touching her stomach and feeling the baby kick and all that stuff, and makes me, I don't know, I have a different perspective than maybe a 20-year-old that sees it more as a female's right um, to abort the baby. And I see it a different way, just in a physical way I do. And then also I'm a Christian. So I do also have these things, but just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I don't sin. And just because someone's a Christian doesn't mean that they don't support abortion, for instance, because we all sin. We all do. We have people that are um, living lifestyles that I don't approve of, but that doesn't mean I can judge them or shame them or anything like that, because that's not what Jesus did. Jesus defeated the Romans without firing a shot. He wore a robe and had a staff, and he was very intelligent the way he spoke. And, I don't think that it's my job. I'm a pretty big dude, as you can see. And I'm highly trained and I practice all the time. I don't do that so I'm going to go out and murder people. I do that because I feel that a hardened target, someone that's healthy, someone that has a healthy body, has a healthy mind, and also someone that trains is more confident and realizes the danger that someone like myself could possess if I was propagandized. So I think so these are that's me. Okay. So that's my perspective. I hope that you guys understanding who I am will help you understand this Charlie Kirk situation and how I see it, because I'm going to speak as a dad, because right now I'm a dad that's like, I'm not the same guy that I was when I was 32 years old, childless, in the military. and I was privy to information that civilians don't get. So I understand how our government doesn't lie to you, but they're not going to tell you what they're doing. Does that make our government bad? I'm going to say no, it doesn't. Because just like at your job, you might be a manager of a store, for instance, and you don't tell your employees everything. Maybe you have a meeting with the upper management, they tell you a few things, and it gets filtered by you, and you tell your employees what is pertinent to them. Okay. Now, maybe you could go out on the limb and say, you know what, I might be getting some layoffs. And it'd be really important that you guys make yourself as useful as possible because they're going to start analyzing people a little bit closer and you could be laid off. Um, that's the kind of boss I am. And I tell them, I hope this doesn't, rub you the wrong way because they're also looking at upper management, which would be me. Um, and I'm going to try to make myself as useful as possible so I don't get laid off. Because if they were thinking about laying off upper management, I'm going to tell you honest, they probably wouldn't tell us because the higher you go, the more you filter. And it's not keeping secrets. It's that what's pertinent or what's important information for you is not important to me because I don't live in your world. I'm not stocking shelves. I'm managing people. Okay. And I'm not working the budget and I'm not corporate. So I'm not in charge of multiple stores. So the thing is they have different information and goals than I do. So we're all coming from different places. Okay. So this is so you understand where I'm coming from. As for the Charlie Kirk situation, it is hard for me to make a video on, guns or um, radios or how to fold clothes or just fun topics that I enjoy. And that's what this channel's about. And I try to share things that I do. I'm just a regular guy. And maybe I could do a little financing. Maybe I could, because maybe somebody sees my brand new truck in my videos and they think, oh, it's just some rich guy. I can't even afford this. And he has that. And maybe I could tell you very quickly some pointers, but I'm not going to tell you how I did my taxes. But I will tell you that if you start doing your own, it will, if you have any type of intelligence, you're going to start seeing, because nobody's going to, you're like, well, I get someone to do my taxes. Well, you have to understand what that person's goal is. That person's goal is not to get in trouble, not to get too deep into your finances, because that's your finances. Their job is to file your taxes for you as quickly and safely as possible, collect that $200 or $300 and say, have a nice day. And you walk away happy and they walk away not being audited or losing their qualification by doing people's taxes. They don't want to lose their job. If you want a financial advisor, that's going to cost you more money, but that financial advisor typically does not do taxes. There's a reason why everybody kind of stays in their own lane in life. And that's because, well, if you're a financial advisor, they let people do taxes for you. So they're going to advise you. They're not going to do your taxes for you. Now, there are accountants and ex-lawyers and tax attorneys that do all two or three of these topics, but you're going to pay those people more because they're taking on more risk. Do you understand? They're taking on more liability. But that's something, I don't have those expertise. So I'm not a lawyer. And let me see, I'm getting a phone call. Let me just get rid of that so it doesn't distract me. So I'm not a lawyer and I'm not going to tell you understand what I'm saying? Everybody needs to stay in their own lane. So for instance, when it comes to this Charlie Kirk situation, you have some people on the right that, do make hyperbolic and these, statements, hyperbolic being, we need to take this country back. And, they're going to be sorry they did this and we should take up, practice your guns. And what they're hinting at is that, we need to take it back, through a violent takeover. And that's not what the Lord did. And you're like, well, I'm not religious. Well, the Bible, you don't need to be religious to read the Bible. And it's, Jesus started off with 12 people and expanded his church to millions because of the way he spoke, and he defeated the Roman Empire. This is like a fact. And the oppressors were defeated not by the sword, all right, but by communication. And we can still use that today. It's literally a blueprint on how to run your life and how to handle people that you disagree with. Um, so a lot of people just shut down when you mention Jesus, and so we're not doing this in a religious aspect. You can be completely anti-religion, and that's cool. Some things about religion that bother me. I don't like when people like mumble to themselves very much, or like they whisper and they get too crazy in church. I think that it bothers me. It doesn't bother me enough. It just hurts my ears. Okay. It might totally bother you though. Okay. You're thinking that this is a place, people are trying to pray, and you got somebody, chanting and doing something that's maybe a little bit loud. It's okay if one or two people are doing it in the back, but what if everybody was doing it? Right. It'd be distracting for me. So we pick our churches, differently also. Some people love the singing and all that stuff. They love the, dressing up and driving your fancy car to church. I'm a little bit more humble, but then at the same time, I drive my brand new Toyota to church. And maybe someone wonders why I don't, give an extra $200 a month to the church. Well, just like you, I don't have it. I don't have it. I do have enough to give my tithing and give my time to my church, but I just don't have it. Okay. I'm on a fixed income. My YouTube channel does not make very much money, but I do utilize the benefits of having a business. And when you have your own business, you can deduct or remove your tax burdens. So what does that mean? If you're let's say you're in the upper tax bracket, and you're in that upper tax bracket by $10,000, if you have your own business, you can deduct some things to bring your tax burden down, which could make it where you get money back instead of paying money. So instead of owing the government $4,000, you could actually receive $2,000 from the government. Um, so and just because you can do that doesn't mean you have a bunch of extra money. We are all struggling here in this economy. The young people can't purchase homes. These are the things that Charlie Kirk talked about. He mentioned he was very sympathetic to the young. He gave everybody a chance to speak. And thank you, Jim Bus. I really appreciate your comments, man. And he gave people a chance to speak their mind, and then he spoke from his point of view. He never condemned people. He never acted like he was not a sinful person, because we all are. And what do you mean by sin? Okay, we're not going to religion, because I know that turns some people off immediately. And I'm not going to force it down your throat, because some of us have had a bad relationship with religion. I did when I was a child. We had a pastor that stole a lot of money, I feel, from my family, and he was a horrible person, I feel. And it left a bad taste in my mouth. As I aged and had children, a child, again, I looked around and I have everything, but I'm still not happy. And going to church has given me a happiness that I can't even explain to you guys. Having faith is something that's wonderful. So that's another thing that Charlie Kirk talked about. As a YouTuber, how can I handle his death? Well, should I just stop making videos? Well, right now I don't feel like it. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty angry. I'm upset. Some people will say, why are you more upset about a 31-year-old man getting shot, and you're not more upset about the school shootings or the gang violence that's going on? That's my response. Is everybody wants to talk about the school shootings, but what about all the black people that are getting killed in the inner city every day? What about them? Nobody mentions that. Well, because people will say, well, they do it to themselves, right? Bad people get shot. Okay. All right. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind. So maybe I'm thinking that. But is that true? It's probably not true. It's a way for me to not think about that, but let's think about the kids. You know, why are the kids getting shot? Well, why do we protect our banks with guns? Why do we go when we go to the marijuana shop in California? There's always a man there sitting there with a gun, usually a big dude. All right, someone that looks like me and has a gun, and you know that that guy knows how to use it. So you feel safe in that shop because you know that a marijuana shop has a lot of cash and there's robberies. So why don't we protect our children? Well, that's a question. Now we could bring up conspiracy theories like everybody wants to bring up with Charlie Kirk, like it's Israel. It's the Democrats wanting more shootings so they can then you know so they can say maybe we need more gun control or something to that effect. And so a lot of these things distract us. Okay, instead of just being laser focused on the problem. um it could be Israel, right? It could be Donald Trump, it could be Biden, it could be the illegal aliens, it could be anything. But is that going to solve the problem? Are you an immigration officer? Are you working in the administration? If you want to change something in politics, again, stay in your lane. um, I don't think staying in your lane, going out and rioting and protesting, it is effective, but it doesn't. It's effective for a very short time, and it usually doesn't benefit you, the protester, or the rioter. What usually happens is you riot, you destroy the city, and that city's property values go down. And when those property values go down, big companies come in and offer to rebuild that whole area, and the city allows them to do it with little to no red tape. So basically, land that they could not obtain before, now Walmart or Target or these large companies can come in, or these condos or these housing projects can come in and purchase the land for cheap. Because I'm just an average guy. I mean, when Target or when a Walmart shuts down, well, I got a Walmart right here. Mine's not shutting down, but the one over here is, and they're having clearance sales. Well, let's go down and buy some cheap stuff, you know? So, so even I do it. That's the first thing that pops into my head. I want to go down to that Walmart and get some cheap knives, and then I'll sell them on eBay and make some money. This is my world, my little tiny world. But people that are wealthier than me, all right. And some people that are wealthier they're not evil, but they're thinking, well, the crime is going to make those property values go lower. In my area, right now, my school system is a 10 out of 10. And I live in California. It's a wonderful city, very conservative folks. And we live very close to Los Angeles. And the home values have skyrocketed. Am I wealthy? No. My house is worth $1.2 million, though. But what does that do for me? Well, I get to pay more taxes, more property taxes. I pay thousands of dollars to live here. And every year it goes up, I have to pay more. And is that right? I don't know. So when a riot happens, or they allow maybe other school systems to send their kids to my school, typically what happens is it goes from a 10 down to an 8 or a 9, and that directly affects our property values. So what I'm doing is I'm stating some facts, and as those property values decrease, people like myself with little money, we're like, dude, I'm out of here because I have a loan for $600,000, and if it goes down any lower, I'm going to be screwed. I got to leave. So I go to another state. I just saw someone else saying that's why I left. You left because of the panic. Yes. They're destroying what little thing we have. And the minute you left, some big company like BlackRock purchased that home, and they purchased maybe 4 or 5 homes down the block where I live from. And then they come with their big old trucks and they redo these homes really fancy, really fancy. So a home that could have been purchased for $700,000, which it's California, guys. It's expensive. But now these homes are selling for $1.5 million that have been redone. Okay. So so the thing is these large companies, they have the lawyers, they have the contractors, they buy the materials in bulk. When I redid my home, I couldn't buy, you know, 50 tons of drywall. I purchased 5 tons. It's not that cheap. Okay. These large homes that they're building, these huge homes, they come in and you walk in the door and you got these gigantic entry halls. That's all fine and dandy until you, the homeowner, has to repaint the interior, and it requires scaffolding. It requires help. It's nothing that you can do. They don't mind because they're happy to come and charge you a lot of money to repaint your house. And you most likely will have to take out a second mortgage to do that. I would love to have a finance channel, guys. I could teach you how to pay off your mortgage quicker and the whole bit without spending a dime. There's different types of loans. Oh gosh, folks, I'm telling you, do your own taxes, understand the loans that you have. They're all different, credit card debt, mortgage loans, lines of credit. They're all different, and they have different ways of charging you interest. So for instance, I've been paying on my home for 7 years. Okay. What I got the loan amount for has literally decreased by this much, kind of like those student loan debts you have. So you have someone that took out a loan for $100,000 to go to college. They front load that interest. So basically, every month you're only paying maybe $50 towards the principal, what you borrowed. So maybe 7 years later, you look at it and you're like, I still owe $98,000. How is that possible? How do I still owe $98,000? And that's because when you get certain types of loans, all you're paying is interest. Okay. So again, these are facts that I'm bringing up to you. They might offend some people. All right. If I was talking about something like transgenderism or, um, or possibly that the reason why you're not successful is because you're a single mother. Okay. I was raised by a single mother. She did the best she could. I didn't have a father in the home. The realities of that and the disadvantages and the issues that that's caused for me are real. And at 50 years old, I can self reflect and realize I would have been a lot better off with a father and a mother in the home. Okay. Now, that may offend somebody that's 30 years old and she's working her butt off trying to raise these 2 kids or 3 kids that she has. And, you know, well, thank you. I did turn out pretty good. And that's because when I was in the military, I saw people that did have a mom and dad, and I realized that I was missing something. And I have I have the ability to listen to people that are older than me and respect their point of view. Not that they're always right, because they're talking from a different point of view. They grew up in a different housing market. They lived at a time where a father could go to work and buy a house and have 2 cars in the driveway and the picket fence. That's not me. I'm Generation X. I'm not a boomer. I'm 50 years old. And back then, back in the 80s, a house loan was 15%. And people are crying about a 6% now. 15% when I was young. All right. Now the homes were a lot cheaper, but were they more affordable? I don't know. What I do know is every generation, when people say someone's lazy, I'm not saying you're lazy, because every generation works hard. It's something that's inside of you. Okay. You could look lazy or unaccomplished to other people, but you're working your butt off and you are. Now, are you being effective? Maybe not, because you might be listening to someone like me and say, you have to put it in your box. Okay. That's why I'm not going to tell people what they need to do, because you guys know what you need to do. You need to keep working hard, and you need to look at your world. And what can help doing that is doing your own taxes, getting your butt in the gym. All right. And I can say, be careful when you go to the gym. If you don't know how to work out, find somebody that does and ask them how. Okay. You don't want to ask the cute little influencer that's 20 years old. She doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't. He's 20 years old. Okay. He's most likely going to do something that's going to hurt you. You're going to go to the gym for a week and you're going to get injured. You're going to pull a muscle and then that's it. Some good advice I can tell people that's pertinent for everybody when you work out. After you work out, when you're working out, you want to keep your hands clean and you want to shower afterwards with soap before you leave the gym. That's something that everybody can do. And you're like, oh, great advice, dude. Great advice. Well, it is good advice because when you go to the gym, you can have that personal trainer. You can do everything perfect. You can eat perfect and you can have a great time. But then you get a good case of ringworm and you start losing your hair, or you get ringworm on your leg or your hands or your face because you didn't wash up after you worked out. Don't sit your naked ass on the bench. Don't put your naked feet on the ground. Wear slippers. Clean those slippers. Cleanliness. Now, is it because I'm always making these videos about being squared away? No, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a case of ringworm, and that's going to get your butt out of the gym. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make something where you're going to have to go to the doctor and pay money to get that solved as your hair is falling out. Okay. So this is advice that everybody can take. And that's why I don't want to have a workout channel. I don't need to tell you guys what to do, but there is some basic advice I can give you. Do your own taxes. All right. Clean your ass before you leave the gym. You do not want to take that ringworm, which is all over these gyms. It's all over the place. It only takes one person to have it. And then you get in your car and you touch your steering wheel. What are you doing? Now, this is not, oh, COVID, let's put a mask on our face. This is some common sense. And shower shoes. Thank you, Jimbo. Absolutely. Push-ups, sit-ups every day works wonders. Absolutely. Consistency. And consistency will be broken if you get ringworm. Okay? So, and that works for everybody. So, how do I approach Charlie Kirk's death and what happened? I can tell you from my experience, I'm a father. And what I have noticed is that after this happened, just like Charlie said, you can tell a lot about a person on how they react to when somebody is killed. And I don't like the way some of these children and college professors and liberal in general, because some right-wing people, I'm sure, are sitting there going, great, the Civil War is going to kick off. Some 50-year-old that has his gun collection wants a civil war to happen. Dude, you're 50 years old like me. Okay. What, are you going to take a nap at 2:00 in the afternoon during the war? Come on, guys. All right. The Lord didn't do that. Jesus didn't do that. And if you want to fight the Roman Empire, you're going to lose. If you're, you know what I'm saying? Live by the sword, die by the sword. Okay. We are not the U.S. military. We are not like that. And the U.S. military sucks because they send you off to war and a lot of people come back screwed up. I've got so many freaking issues with my body after 20 years in the military. I can't even begin to tell you. I get about 2.5 hours of sleep every night and I wake up in pain all the time. And I've done everything to deal with it, whether it's being addicted to cannabis or whether it's drinking alcohol or whatever to deal with the pain, which those things, thank the Lord, I've gotten over with and well over with. So when it comes to Charlie Kirk, how should you feel about that? Stay in your lane. What can you affect? As a father, I can mentor my daughter and explain to her what's going on, that being proud of killing somebody is not good. And I also want her to do her own research. They say the rhetoric is dangerous on the right. What Donald Trump says causes violence. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I do see children, high schoolers, college professors, news reporters that even if they do say, I have prayers for Charlie Kirk, but what he said, I don't agree with. You don't even know what he agreed, what he did. You didn't watch him. You don't know him as a person. All right. And what we see on TV and the news is propaganda, guys. It is somebody that's trying to push their narrative onto you. Could we say useful idiots? That's not a nice thing to say because I've been a useful idiot then, right? We all have. Some of us got maybe suckered into the COVID thing. Some of us maybe, got too involved in George Bush or something. Or we thought that going to Iraq was a good idea when now we know it wasn't. Have I lost people? I have lost people in Iraq. I've lost people very, very close to me. It's a sensitive subject for me. And I don't like when somebody that maybe hasn't lost somebody talking about it. So even if you have a good message, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. But there are people out there that can speak that message and get their points across. And maybe we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Is it Israel? So what are you going to do about it if it's Israel? Nothing. You're going to sit here and complain, and you're not going to address the fact that you're a dad or you're a potential parent, and you're not looking around and saying, man, my friends over here are cheering for the death of somebody. Do I want my daughter to act like that one day? Well, I'm never going to have kids because the world's got enough people. Well, something Charlie Kirk would say is mathematically that's incorrect. The world doesn't have enough people. I travel a lot, and I'm here to tell you that most of these countries, their average age is 50 and 65 years old. I go to Japan, I am the youngest person in the room. There are literally no kids. They're closing down schools. And America's getting that way too. When I was young, you'd go outside, you'd have 8 or 9 kids running around. When my mom was a child, the whole street would be full of children, not just because there was no internet, because there was children everywhere. There wasn't enough computers for all the kids in the house. People had an average of 4 to 5 children when my mom was young. And then when I was young, the average family had 2. And now people are having none. So your perspective is going to be different than mine, isn't it? We're going to think differently. So why are we focusing on this Charlie Kirk thing and not focusing on, school shootings? Well, I distract myself a little bit and say, well, why don't we protect our children like we do our banks? That'd solve the problem. Would it solve the problem though? Would it? Would it really? It might stop some of the school shootings, but would it really? And then we can go on to the conspiracy theory on how they want the shooting so then they can come back and take our guns. Well, one thing I can tell you is one side definitely wants to take our guns. Now, whether or not they're intelligent enough or horrible enough to allow school shootings to do that, that's something that we can't prove and is a distraction. So how can we solve these problems quickly? We need to instill morals in people because good people don't think like that. And you're like, well, the shooter was a Mormon. He's religious. He believes in Jesus Christ. Well, does he? And again, like I told you, Christians, I'm a Christian. Christians sin. That's why we go to church. We sin. We're sinners. That's why we go. Perfect people don't go to church. When I was 30 years old and I was nice and strong and I felt, look at those sweat marks, geez, and I was nice and strong and I was ruling the world and I had 400 people that worked for me. I didn't need God. I was my own God. Do you understand? But as I got older and I looked around, I said, man, I'm smoking weed every freaking day. Well, I can because I got 4 back surgeries. And I'm looking at dirty websites. I'm a sinner. So I go to church to help me control these things. That's why we go to church. We're not saying that we're better than you. Do you understand? You're acting like you're better than us. That's how I see it. You're the ones that say you don't need God. You're perfect. You're perfect. You look in the mirror and you maybe got purple hair and you're thinking, I'm perfect. You're condemning me. I wake up in the morning and I'm attracted to men, right? Are you? I'm not saying that you're going to go to hell because of that, but I am telling you, I'll accept you as a brother. You can even come to my church. But just like all of us, you're living in sin. You're not going to be happy. You're not. You're not going to be happy. You might be happy. Believe me, when I was smoking weed and looking at dirty websites, believe me, I was happy. I was really happy, 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 happy. My pain was gone. I got great sleep. But eventually things stopped working. Again, my perspective's different than yours. When you're 30 years old and 20 years old, your perspective is very small. You look in the mirror and all you know is, I'm a woman or I'm a man. It is up to us adults to communicate in a way where these young people can understand this, that your perspective is going to change. When I was 20 years old, I didn't worry about nothing. And then when I was 24, I'm in the military and I'm thinking, is this going to be a career? Am I going to get out? What am I going to do? I hate this. This is awful. Is this what life's about? Guess what it is? But it does get easier. I'm going to tell you, it does get easier. For some reason around your 30s, you accept it and you really get into whatever job that you're doing, and you can actually find yourself overworking and feeling good about it because you have a career. And to have a career, you need to take ownership of it. You need to work hard. You do. It's hard. We've all worked hard. The boomers worked hard. Generation X, me, I'm not a boomer, worked hard. And the millennials are working hard. And these new guys are working hard. I do believe, though, certain things. We didn't have healthcare. You guys have healthcare. In California, healthcare is free for everybody. It's not really free, though, if you're trying to be middle class, because you don't qualify for all these things. So we have a lot of people in the middle class that are making mortgage payments. They're on a fixed income. You look at them, they got the fancy house, they're driving the BMW, but they are one accident away from losing everything. And that's because they can't afford that health insurance, because the government looks at them and says, you make $150,000 a year. Yeah, health insurance is going to cost you about $1,400 a month. An emergency room visit is like $800 or $900 with the insurance. If you have no insurance, you're looking at $5,000. And if you have no insurance, like most of my friends, they have none. And they got bigger houses than me. They got 3 and 4 cars, and they have zero health insurance because they can't afford it. And they don't have it. They're like, well, if something happens, I'll just go on Medicare or Medicaid. Well, you're going to lose everything. They're going to take that money from you one way or the other, and they're going to make you poor. They will bring you down until that free, it's free. To get it free, you got to lose everything. You know? Ninja says, young people don't have the same opportunities as someone 50 plus did. I agree. But you do have some opportunities that we didn't. Okay. Information was very difficult when I was young, especially being a white male. Being white in California, there was no permanent positions for me at all. So you're taught, this is my perspective now. None. There was temporary agencies. If you weren't a Hispanic or Black, you were not getting hired. Period. I tried to be a fireman. I tried to be a forest ranger. I tried all these things. I wanted to dig fire roads. No, they're not hiring people that look like me. I went to Rainbird Sprinkler Company. They could not hire me. They would not, because if they hired a Hispanic, they get a $7,000 tax credit every year. Do you understand what that is? When they file their taxes, they claim his minority status and they get money. Just like our local school here, if they're over 60% minority, which white people are a minority. I don't understand that. We are the minority here. But if it's 60% non-white, they get more money. These schools are encouraged to bring these people in and they get paid more. So they get paid to discriminate against me, just like our colleges. That's what DEI is. And you're like, well, we need to bring these people up. Well, at the cost of maybe, I got to look at my daughter who's half Asian and half white and explain to her that you're going to be held back because of you, just how you were born. It doesn't matter how hard, you're going to have to work harder than that person. And don't you think that that's bringing up some Caucasians and Asians that realize that? Just imagine every Asian and white parent is letting their kids know you're going to have to work harder than everybody else. When they grow up, they're going to be very competitive. So when you get out of college, you're going to be dealing with people like me, someone that had to work extra hard because of the color of his skin. Now, when I joined the military, it was different for a while until they started taking points off for white people. They had something that's called equal opportunity. So we had 6 blocks that they grade us on every year. And because I was white, I get a 3 in one block. And someone that's non-white could get a 4 or a 5. Or a 4, excuse me, a 4. I never received a 3 in my life until Obama came into office and they started that policy. So what did they do? Well, they raised up my leadership to a 4.0. Ha ha! Yeah, baby. Fine, give me a 3.0. But because we gave you a 3.0 and we can't do that because you're white, we boosted your leadership this year because you've showed great improvement. And we don't want to knock down your numbers. So what did they do to the minorities? They gave them that 4.0. And what did they do? Because they gave me a 4.0 in leadership, what do you think they did to that person that got that freebie? They knocked down his leadership. Not because they hate him, because the world balances itself out. And when government gets involved, that's what happens. And what happens when it comes to promotion? Well, this guy, look at his leadership. And this guy, his numbers, everybody knows why he got a 4.0. Everybody knows. So that lasted for a couple years until they started mandating a certain amount of minorities had to make chief. Okay, so now we have minorities making chief. The liberal left is thinking, that's great. We got people making chief. The world will always balance out because as a first class white male, I'm talking to a minority chief. And you know what? He's just not quite as sharp. You got to earn it. And when you don't earn it, in most cases, it shows. It shows in your performance. It shows in how you lead people. It shows how everything, because you're entitled. And everybody knows that I had to work harder to make it than you. It's not a secret, guys. I didn't do this. So when a political party pushes these types of ideas, you have to understand that the world will always balance out. And the government, even if they want to do that, they will constantly, it's just like when they ban something with guns. All right, no more automatic guns. Okay, we'll make trigger switches. You pull it once, it resets really quickly. Then they'll ban that. Then they'll make bump stocks. Little spring in it. Then they'll ban stocks. All right, then we'll do this. We'll make it a little bit shorter. Next thing you know is now the ARs are this big. It's almost like a pistol. The private sector and people in general are going to balance it out. And it's going to be a constant race. And all these laws keep piling on to suppress the people. You can't suppress America. It is a free country. The only thing we can do is go back to the Lord and his teachings and treat people the right way. A good example is prove it for yourself. Go to a video on how Joe Biden got cancer. Those comments are, I'll pray for you. I hope his family's doing good. That's terrible. My mom had cancer. That is awful. Then you go to a Charlie Kirk video and read those comments. Even the ones that are a little bit, there's always like a disclaimer. I didn't agree with Charlie, but this is horrible. Why do you have to say, I didn't agree with Charlie, but this is horrible? Shut up. Just say you're praying for him. The political violence from one side has manipulated me a little bit. Let me show you something. I'll be right back. This is something I'm really proud of. This is my D-set Kitty Hawk hat. I was a damage control technician. I was one of the instructors. It's a very high position for a first-class petty officer. Anybody that's been in the military knows that. I was one of two on an aircraft carrier of 5,000 people. When I put this hat on, that was a big deal, a really big deal. But I can't wear this in California. Now, why would I be afraid to wear this? Let's say, I don't know, I'm going to Los Angeles. I want a nice hat, protect my face. I'm white, so I don't want to get cancer. That's my privilege. I get cancer of the face. I'll probably get it right here. It's starting to develop. I'll probably have to carve a piece of my face off. Well, look how it looks from the back. What does that look like? You should just wear it anyway. Should I? I'm 50 years old. I got a kid. I got a business to run. I should just wear this. You know what this looks like? A mega hat. Now, do you think the person that's going to bash me across the head, which happens down here all the time, you think the person that's going to bash my skull in is going to take the time to come around and read this? My side doesn't do that. Tell me one thing that someone on the left can't wear. I can't even wear a red tie without somebody asking me, are you trying to be like Donald Trump? Now, if you wore a red tie and you're on the left, you think someone would ask you that? Why do they ask me that? Because I'm white, I'm yellow or orange or red sometimes. I can't even wear a freaking hat in California that's red. Thanks. Freedom of speech, guys. I can't even wear something that I earned. If I was 30 years old, I might be stupid enough to wear it. Right? And then someone says, well, I'm a CCW holder and I'm going to wear it. And if somebody does anything, I'm going to blow their head off. No, you're not. When you become a CCW holder, you're going to go through the class and you will definitely not be wearing this because you're responsible and you realize that when you're carrying your weapon, you're going to have to watch your mouth. You're not going to be flicking people off in traffic because you're asking for it. You're going to understand the responsibility of carrying that CCW. That CCW is there for absolute emergencies. You do not take the gun out, wave it at people, because you're going to go to jail for that. When that gun comes out, you're pulling the trigger, period. That's the law. So when somebody has a CCW and you see them pull that gun out, you can guarantee that he's going to pull that trigger because that's the training that we've received. So maybe when somebody's watching their mouth, You might want to ask yourself, boy, he isn't flicking me off and he isn't getting really angry. Why do you think he's not getting really angry? Because he knows if it goes to that point and you're pushing on him or you're grabbing his shirt or you're walking up to his car and yelling at him when his family's in his car and he's sitting down, seat belted in, and he's going to get punched in the face or knocked out or ripped out of his car and have his skull busted open, and he's not flicking me off, ask yourself why. Because he is trying so hard not to get into that altercation because he understands where it's going to lead. People need to grow up. People need to realize that, yeah, this is not the world that we want to live in. So I'm not going to say that, one of my favorite politicians was Ronald Reagan because he was very well spoken. And, you know, yeah, does Donald Trump say some things when he says Rosie O'Donnell's fat or something like that? It was funny during the debate. I laughed. I thought it was funny. But even some Republicans I know don't think that's funny. My mom doesn't think that's funny. What's her perspective? She was a principal of 4 schools and she was persecuted. She was the only white teacher working for an all African American staff, black staff. One misstep and she's losing her job. She could never say anything like that. If she's thinking, if I can't say it, why can a president say it? That's her perspective. I thought it was funny. She didn't think it was funny. Plus, she struggles with her weight. We all have a different perspective. Now, is she not going to vote for him? No, she's going to vote for him. So we need to stop like labeling people as Nazis or these horrible things, which everyone knows where that came from because you have one person saying if you could kill Hitler if you could kill Hitler when he was 10 years old, you'd do it, right? And then another person on another TV channel will call Republicans Nazis. You put that together, you got to understand that people start thinking you can hit the Nazi in the back of the head. Can't even wear a hat, guys. Can't even wear a hat. Ninja says earn is an interesting term. You either come from a family that helps you out or you experience luck. Nobody gets rich working hard. Ninja, there is some privilege. I was raised in an area where people had privilege. I was one of the first people to lose my dad. My dad left when I was 5 years old. So my perspective is I had to work for everything and I had to join the military. You could join the military too. Do 20 years, suck it up, buttercup, and do it. Now, guess what? Maybe you can't join the military. Is that the right thing for me to say? Is it? While everyone around me got to go to college for 4 years and drink and have parties and graduate from USC because their dad went to USC, so they kind of sent that letter in because if your parents went to USC, you get a little, kiss on the cheek. Or I get to go to the Air Force Academy because my uncle graduated from the Air Force Academy. I had nothing like that. I had nothing like that. I had no privilege like that. The people that get that privilege is very small. Very, very small. And out of the people I went to high school with, I am the most successful. Even after they went to college. Now, did I have to work really hard? You think my hand got like that? Not working with my hands? Or the 4 back surgeries that I got? I suggest you don't look at others. When you get to be my age, this hardship that you're going through, if you work through it, will make you more powerful than you know. Trust me, please. Please. I worked in the Navy for 20 years. The first 10 years, I did not see it. I was just like you in that attitude. And how do you think I felt at the 15-year mark when they started marking me down because I was Caucasian? Did I have faith that they were going to balance out the system like I explained before? I didn't have faith of that. I didn't. But they did. They actually did. They actually said, "You know what? We're going to raise his leadership score." Bad ideas die. They always do. Think about it. I mean, ask your mom or your dad. Think about the bad ideas that came out during their time. Did they last? They sure didn't. They don't last. But they do last long enough to hurt people like you and hurt people like me. And they hurt. It hurts. It hurt when my Hispanic boss, when I was in California, 2 jobs, the guy pulled me aside and said, and I'm not going to do his accent because I can't really do it, but he basically looked at me and said, "You're a great worker. You work really hard, but everybody here speaks Spanish, and we just got to let you go because it's hard to always say something in Spanish and English." And they let me go, but he did it in a nice way. Another one was when I went to Rainbird Sprinkler Company. I was a janitor there. My Hispanic boss, everybody on the floor was Hispanic except for me. I was the only temporary worker, and they were never going to hire me because, like I said, they got no tax benefit. I mean, why hire me when they can hire him and get $7,000 from the federal government and the state? Things like $2,500 from the state of California for hiring a Hispanic back then, and $4,700 from the federal government. How do you think that makes me feel at the time? Now, I didn't know that at the time because I didn't do my own taxes and I didn't understand how anything worked. I just thought they hated me. As I aged, I realized what they were doing and why they did it. Would I have done the same thing? Dude, businesses are running on a profit margin that big. If they can get $7,000 for hiring someone, they're going to hire them. It's just the way it is. And it's still happening today. It's still happening today. In the state of California, they still have incentives to discriminate against certain groups to this day. And I am sorry, Ninja, that you feel that way. All right. I'm here to tell you that you can look it up in Chat GPT. We could do it right now if you like. You could do it for me if you like, and ask them, out of the millionaires, how many of them are new money? And I bet you it's in the 70 percentile, if not higher. So that means 70% of people that are millionaires came from families like me, families like you. On paper, I'm a millionaire, but I don't have money because like I tell my daughter, she goes, "Are we having money problems, Daddy?" And I said, "No, we have a budget. We have a budget." Now, when I was a single guy in the Navy making peanuts, I didn't have a budget. I had money to spend. I could go out drinking and eat because I didn't have a budget, man. Now I got a budget. I got more money, but I got a budget because I got to worry about getting older. I need health care. I need eye coverage. I need everything. I need to take care of my daughter. I got to get her a car one day. I got to pay the insurance premiums on that for a while. I got to pay for her college. And you're thinking, well, my dad's not going to pay for my college. Well, my parents didn't pay for mine, and that's why I didn't go. If I had a boy, I'd probably not pay for it. I'm going to be honest, because my boy would probably be like me. And smart people really don't need help. Ninja, you sound like a smart kid or a smart person. Use it. Trust me. You'll be fine. And there's always going to be injustice in the world. Why don't I preach on this? Because I don't want white people to think that they're victims. You're not a victim. Everybody has had oppression throughout the world. Can you stop the oppression? Run for government and vote better. That's all I got to say. That's all you can do. In the meantime, you need to go to a job that doesn't have that oppression. When I joined the military, the first 10 years, they didn't have that oppression. I was amazed that I could actually work and get graded on my work. I looked around and nobody was working as hard as me. I came in early, I stayed late, I tried to do my boss's job. I was promoted instantly. I couldn't believe this. That oppression helped me. It helped me without me even knowing it, you know? And Jimba says we have it pretty damn good in this country. Yes, compared to most countries, we have it very good. The whole world is kind of going through some stuff right now. I do a lot of traveling. I've been to like 6 different countries. I've lived overseas in a different country in a home. I purchased a home. So I know how everything works in a lot of different countries. And I'm here to tell you, countries do some screwed up things, even the young people. Imagine buying a car, spending your hard earned money on a car, and one day the government says that car can no longer be registered because it's a diesel. And you look around, you're like, well, that truck company's got a diesel. They got a diesel. I just spent all my money on this car. I got no more money. And they just made it illegal like that. Welcome to Japan. Did Japan give me a check for a new car? Nope. My car was junk. I just put a brand new engine in it too. Brand new spanking engine in a diesel turbo 4Runner. Freaking gorgeous car. So much torque. Freaking awesome. I'm in my 30s. I got no kids. My car was everything to me. You might be in that position in life. Your car might be everything. When you have kids, it'll go to the kids. Just imagine raising a child, telling them to work hard and apply to college, and then she doesn't get in because she looks Asian. So we all go through some shit, if you know what I mean. But yes, something I will say, Ninja, what you do have, what the younger generation has that really chaps my ass is these home prices. Not the interest. The interest is kind of reasonable because, when I was younger, the interest was a lot higher. But the home prices are really, really high. Really, like the monthly payment is really, really high right now. If I was president for a day, I would make it where your first home, you pay no property tax. Your second home, if you're going to get a second home and rent it out, you're going to pay property tax. And you're going to pay more property tax to balance out the fact that other people aren't. But I'm going to give them a benefit. I'll say if you get a second home, you're going to pay property tax on that. But if you're renting that place out and those people do not pay their rent, the law is going to come in and get them out immediately and put them out on the street. And you're thinking, well, that's terrible. Why would you do that? Because it'll make rent cheaper. You know why rent's so expensive in California? You need first, second, third, fourth, last rent. You need a 780 credit score. You need a better credit score to rent a house here than buy one. You can buy one with a 650 credit score. Good luck on getting an apartment or renting a back room, which is the best in someone's, like my office. I would love to rent this to somebody. But the problem is you rent it and they don't move out. And the state of California says, F you, landlord. So guess what? If I did rent this place out, you're going to have an 800 credit score. And you're going to give me first, second, third, fourth, and you're going to give me a huge security deposit for me to risk that. So when people vote for these things, these liberal Democrat policies, what they're doing is actually hurting themselves. As a Republican, that's what I would do. Your first home, you pay no property tax. That would lower your burden significantly in getting into a home. And why doesn't the government back home loans? You know what PMI insurance is? PMI insurance raises your monthly payment by $300 to $400 a month. If the government backed loans, we can get rid of that PMI insurance. That's what they do for veterans. Me. So if you have a certain credit score to incentivize people to be responsible, we will back your loan. The government backs student loans. But then what did that do? When the government gets involved in backing loans, what does that actually do? What did it do to the college industry? Well, the colleges are like, we can charge more. We can charge more now. Just like when the interest rates go down on these homes, right now it's 6%. When the interest rates go down, my home value goes up. Rent goes up. Everything balances out. It never stays the same. But you can catch those little, right when it goes down, the world hasn't balanced out. That's when you buy. Because if you wait too long, the world balances out again. And you're like, now these homes are like $1 million. Well, I could have told you they were going to be $1 million. I could have told you that. What's going to happen when you lower interest rates? The world's going to balance out. So if you want to make money, you have to find these opportunities very quickly. You need to not get upset or frustrated. You need to ask yourself, what's going to happen when the government does that? That's the best thing. I look at what the government is going to do and how that's going to affect the economy. Those are the opportunities I jump on. While the dumb people are like, yeah, California is going to make it where we can't move out. Time to sell my rental property. Bye. And then BlackRock's thinking, time to buy his property. They'll give you a call. They'll give me more money for my house than to sell it to you. Yep. We got 3 houses on my block that are up for sale. They'll call those owners and say, we will buy it cash right now. You're selling it for 1.1. We'll give you 1.2 cash right now. House inspection, don't even worry about it. Sold. Because they buy all 3. They move their trucks into this freaking neighborhood and they work on all 3 at the same time. They got a guy that does all the permits for them. If you understand how the world works and stop focusing on Israel or Donald Trump did this or I can't make it. There are so many, but the thing is, at 50, I see the opportunities that you don't. And if you're my age and you don't see the opportunities, I'm asking you, please go to church. Go to church. Find someone that's older than you that can mentor you. Start doing your own taxes. But you're not talking about Charlie Kirk. Yet why should I? We had a political assassination. You think I'm going to be wearing this hat now? Before it was just getting hit over the head maybe with a bottle. What do you think is going to happen if I go down to the wrong neighborhood wearing this and they see this freaking white head walking down the street? Why am I talking about it? Because it affects us all. Did the school shooting affect us all? No, it didn't. Did the gang violence in Detroit and Chicago the other day affect us all? No, it didn't. It doesn't affect us all. It sucks. It's frustrating that nobody can seem to solve the problem. But the problem's up here. Family values. But people don't want to hear that because a single mom's like, I work my ass off. Well, how can you raise your kids when your kids are in daycare? You're not raising your kids. Oh, I raise my kids. You pick them up from daycare and you bicker at them for 30 minutes before you put them to bed. You're not raising your kids. The system is. Well, maybe we should pay daycare people more money. And what? Make it more expensive? Maybe we should require a college degree for a daycare operator. What? So the colleges can make more money? So it costs more money to freaking watch our kids? It's already too damn expensive. Maybe your wife should stay home. Well, we can't afford that. Something the new generation does that ups that I can see that possibly costs them a lot of money is they it's a lot of consumerism. They go to Amazon, they see something they want, they watch a YouTube video of someone that's 50 years old that's driving a Toyota. I just told you how I got that Toyota Tacoma. It's making me money. It's making me money, costing me nothing. Now my Ford Focus, which ST, which I love so much, that little pocket rocket, I loved it, was costing me money because it's 11 years old and it was breaking down every year. 3 grand here, 2 grand here. Need the suspension done. I can't afford that anymore. And that wasn't making me any money. Now, as many think, why'd you pick a Toyota Tacoma? Well, resale value. The value of a Toyota Tacoma does not decline at all. At all. In 3 years, they're literally going to give me money because I negotiated the lease very, very well. I used artificial intelligence to do that. I took a picture of his screen. Thank you very much. I'm going to the next Toyota dealership. Took a picture of his screen. Thank you very much. Went to the third guy. This is what I got. Can you beat it? I don't listen to them. Took a picture of his screen. Thank you very much. I'll be back. AI, which one's the best deal? That one. Why? Because the money factor. And if you don't understand these terms, ask me, I'll help you. That's a good one, but can I get it better? Yes, you can get it better. You can negotiate the money factor better. You can get a better discount. What about these fees? The fees, that's what most people focus on. The fees, the fees, the fees. They're charging you $1,400 in fees. Well, the other guy's charging me $1,100. Who gives a shit about the fees? When you get a 5% discount on the freaking car itself, which is $4,000, $300 here and on fees, who cares? People waste their time on the stupidest things rather than looking at the money factor, which was too high. And you negotiate the money factor, which is your interest on the lease. Find out what they're getting it for. Well, Toyota, you're getting it for this. And I got an 840 credit score. I'm not paying that. I'm walking. I'll take a picture. I already took a picture of your screen, brother. I'm going to another guy. I'm a number. That's all you're getting from me. I'm a number. If you want to charge someone else a higher money factor, you go ahead and do it. And there's plenty of people that will let you do that. Give them $200 on the fees, make them feel good, and then charge them too much on the interest and the money factor. And again, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, call me. I can help you. There's no reason for me to have a money channel. Stepping away from materialism is hard. Jim Bus, you are absolutely right because we all want it. We all want the fancy car. Did I get the leather seats? Nope. I got car seat covers and I made a video on it and I got a $100 discount for that. I love those leather seat covers though. If you're looking for some leather seat covers, check out my video on those. I make no money, but I got you guys $50 off. I'm trying to help, dude. I make no money on that. Did I get the big screen? No. I got the little screen. Do I need all those buttons? No, I don't. Everybody wants the best now. They're very effective at telling these kids. I look around, these kids got BMWs. They have brand new Toyotas. I never had a brand new car. And you're like, there you are. You're bashing the young generation. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. When I was young, I didn't have a computer that literally told me I need all this stuff. Now, we did have shoes pushed on us, like Michael Jordans and Air Jordans and all that BS. And a lot of people, clothes were a big thing when I was young. Nowadays, people wear anything. But when I was young, brand name jeans, brand name shoes, polo shirts. You know how much a polo shirt costs? Like $70, dude, in the 80s. Now you can get a polo shirt at the discount store for $12. You can get Korea-made Air Jordans for $20 a piece. Go online. They look just like it. They're made in the same factories. You know how much we were paying? $200, $300 for these things. People were getting mugged for their shoes. People were beating people up and taking their shoes off their body. Perspective, brother. You know, and I'm not yelling at you guys, especially you, Ninja. I'm not yelling at you at all. And I, like I said, I'm sympathetic to the fact that the younger generation does have it harder purchasing a home right now. And a lot of that is because of Democrat policies. So how are you voting? The party of family values wants you to have a home. They want you to get married. They want you to have kids. Oh, but there's too many kids in the world. I already told you, we're not having enough kids. We are literally not breeding at replacement rate. If we keep going in 80 years, we will be extinct. That's how math works, guys. That's how math works. You look at demographics. Why is Mexico so important to America? Because their demographics meaning their age groups, it's better than ours. They have a ton of 30-year-olds, a ton of them. Great for factory workers, great for building our trucks and our cars, and they're educated now. Their birth rates are declining now. Because back in the old days, having a lot of kids in Mexico, you could work the farm, you could work the home, you could make money, you could bring more money in. Nowadays, well, these Hispanic kids, they want to go to college. And college is expensive. And they don't work on the farm no more. Kids cost money. It's a luxury to have kids now. I got one. It's all I can afford. Do you understand? We don't have enough people. We just don't. And I'm here to tell you, when you get older, kids are everything. My daughter, if I could have 10 of them, I would. And do I have to work harder because of that? Yeah, I'd still have to be working, but it'd be worth it. Kids are everything. Believe me, I was the kind of guy that used to watch America's Funniest Home Videos, and I never understood why people thought it was funny when a baby did something. Because I was a cat person. We had no kids. We were planning on having no kids at all. But the minute I got a kid, now I'm just like laughing at all the kid videos. I think they're hilarious. Perspective, brother. It's not that I'm better than you. It's just that I've experienced different things. But we do have a pretty damn good country compared to what's going on in the rest of the world. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you want a home? You get a home for really cheap in Japan right now. But their economy is doing really terrible. Yeah. That's why homes are pretty cheap. Look at the exchange rate. You can go to Japan with $1 bill and they hand you 150 yen. And you can buy a whole lot of stuff with 150 yen. They got 100 yen shops that you can actually buy stuff for 100 yen. A lot of stuff. I'm sure I got something from a 100 yen store pretty close to me. I lived in Japan for 11 years. I just got back from Japan a year and a half ago. And you can buy a house there. So you want a house? Go to Japan. Buy a house. Do you need to learn Japanese? No. No. Get a job. There's plenty of jobs for people like you and me. Plenty. Plenty. You feel good, and they treat people good. When you fill out an application in Japan, they might ask if you can speak Japanese, but they're not going to ask what color you are. They're not going to ask if you're black or white. They're not going to do any of that. It's not like America where it's like, are you Hispanic, white? Are you black? Why that matters, I have no idea. Now, for some people, that matters a lot. For some reason. For some reason, that matters a lot. It matters a lot to the government. It matters a lot to colleges for some reason. Why does your race matter? And me just talking about this would offend some people. It could get me shot in the neck instead of someone just listening to my damn opinion. They get more money. Yes, they get more money. They are incentivized to bring in more and to discriminate. And again, the world's going to balance out. I've had 4 back surgeries. You think I look at race on who's going to open me up? You bet your ass I do. Because I know the Chinese guy that opened me up had to work his butt off to get into UCLA. I know that he had to do extracurricular activities, make himself seem more exotic. He had to have a perfect GPA. He had to have an SAT score 300 points higher than a black man and 150 points higher than a white man. He's smarter. And intelligence matters. It really does, man. Because when he opened me up, he couldn't do exactly what they thought they could do because my body wasn't working well. And he had to kind of think on the spot on what to do. And he did. And my back is almost 100%. Now, my nerves are all screwed up, but that can't be fixed. So who made me look at race? I wasn't born that way. Who makes the policies that make it where we got to put race on things? That's your liberal left. So the world's going to balance out, guys. As long as we keep talking about it and requiring it and giving special things to people. I mean, I saw it in the Navy with the air crew and the maintenance guys. You know, there's always a golden cow. They don't need to stand watch because they got to fly tomorrow. What? My maintenance guy's got to come here at 3:00 in the morning and get that aircraft ready. And you want him to stand watch all night and go straight to work. Okay, that's the aircraft you're going to be flying on. We had airplanes falling out of the sky. When that started happening, do you think people were doing it on purpose? No, they were exhausted. We had airplanes falling out of the sky. When I left that squadron, see, I was in a position where I could change that. When I left that squadron, who was standing all the watches? HM-14, guys. Anybody hear from that? HM-14? Air crew is standing every damn watch. Maintenance personnel stood 0 watches when I left. 0. When I arrived there, they were standing them all. Every last one of them. You can make a change, guys. Now, did I go there and start slamming things and getting pissed off? No. I did it like the Lord would do. And I used my mouth in a respectful way. And I had a convincing argument. And when airplanes started falling out of the sky, like I told them, most likely is going to start happening. Then they called me in the office and they said, yep, it's your show now. And I got to run my show. Just like when I left that squadron, it went from debt concept to shop concept. Ownership. If you make people feel like they're part of the team and they own a piece of Home Depot, like this is your section, and you walk by that section and you tell that guy that he's doing a good job on his section, and you're not moving him all over the place and he has to work with some moron that doesn't pull his weight. No, you give people ownership. They own their homes. They own that section. They own that aircraft. If people don't have a sense of ownership, they don't perform, and aircraft fall out of the sky, or or departments don't look good. They don't look good because your one hard worker has to work with that moron. You need to find out who your morons are. You're in charge of this, you're in charge of that, you're in charge of that, and I'm comparing you all. Why does yours look like shit? Do you need help? Do you need some mentoring? I will put on my frickin' blues and I will work side by side with you and I will show you how to do it. And I will work hard. Most people want to be useful in life. Most people that are not useful, you know what their problem is? They don't know how to do it. So someone needs to teach them because everybody wants to feel useful. So don't get angry at them. Teach them. And again, that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Teach people. Mentor people. He wasn't telling you what you had to do. Give people the information. So I got way off topic. And that's because guess what? That's not my wheelhouse. It's not. I can only control my little world, harden my body, harden my family's bodies, take my family shooting, mentor my daughter, lead my home. I'm the leader. I'm the father. You understand? My home. My wife's the church. I take care of her. I lead. When you as men don't lead, you make your women. You might get when you're in a dating relationship, it might be cute, but it's not when you're in a relationship because they got other things to think about than leading. They're mothers. They worry about things that you do not. You need to lead, and you need to lead well and respectfully. And your family will fall in line just like everybody else will. The worst thing to do is to work for somebody. The worst thing to do is to work for somebody that's a moron. It's so painful. So what do? Mentor him. If you're so much better than him, mentor him. Help your boss. Don't yell at him. Don't sabotage him. Mentor him. And guess what? His boss will see that. You don't think that he's watching? I watch everything. I don't miss nothing. I see the people that are doing the job of their supervisors. I see everything. But just like a credit score, guys, I need to see sustained superior performance. Not a month, not 2 months, not 3 months, not 6 months, maybe a year or 2. And at 25 years old, that feels like eternity. I understand that. You're like, nobody notices me. No, they do. It's just not on your timeline. God bless you guys. I hope that you guys can get something from this. I just shared my perspective, where I'm coming from, and we all come from different places. We need to show everybody respect. Everybody has it hard. Thank you, Jim Bus. I appreciate the compliments. I appreciate all the comments. Ninja Master, if you're still here, I totally understand. And like I said, we all have, Ryan, thank you, man. We all have issues that we're going through. We're all working hard. The boomers, the Xers, the millennials, we're all working our freaking ass off. So don't look at somebody and tell them that they're not working hard, because they are. They might be completely defeated on the inside, because guess what? A home is a pretty important thing to have. Now, do we have a right to a home? That's another conversation. But I think that the government needs to step in and make it where first homes, we need to eliminate something, property taxes or something. And the way to balance that out is to make the second home pay a little bit more. But if you're paying more, the government needs to do more. So what are you going to give those second homeowners to stimulate people to buy second homes and rent those out too, because you don't want to make it where the rental market skyrockets by doing that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because a lot of your landlords they have 2 or 3 homes. Do you understand? So that cost would be passed on to the renter. So we need to do something where it's tax deductible or something. You just can't make these rules and not understand that the world will balance out. All right. God bless you guys. And you guys have a fantastic Saturday. I'm going to go to a concert tonight watching Chicago and Christopher Cross in the Hollywood Bowl. Absolutely awesome. Woo! It's going to be fantastic. Hollywood Bowl, you can bring your food. We're going to bring food, brownies. It's a big spend a night tonight. I think we're spending like a little bit over $100. You can't go to a concert. Are you kidding me? You can go to Christopher Cross in Chicago for about $100. And that's a big spending day for us. I mean, we don't get to go out very much. We don't have very much money, but we get to do stuff like that every once in a while. And we treasure it. We're going to do it as a family. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be screaming at the top of our lungs. It'll be fantastic. So peace out. Later.